The first time that Madeline did come over to my place and meet my mum and dad and my siblings, I remember I was there on the night, and she's talking to my siblings, and my mum gets up and she goes over to my kitchen and she starts washing up, and I'm thinking, better do the right thing. I'm gonna start cleaning up, show her that I'm good in the kitchen as well. So I get out, I start getting the thing. I go over and I take the plates over to Mum, and I'm there standing next to Mum, and I'm just like pretending to do something. I had no idea what was going on. And Mum's there washing up, and I said, Mum, I was like, what do you think? What do you think? And she just looked at me and she goes, if you don't marry her, you're an absolute idiot. When you meet somebody and you're drawn to their external beauty of that person, slam on the brake and ask yourself some questions that are really, really important before you launch into a very intense friendship with somebody. Ask yourself, why do I like this person? Because as I said, it's good if you're physically drawn to them, but it can't be the only thing that you're really drawn to them about. And look, we'll lie to ourselves, won't we? Oh, but he's got a nice smile, and I'm sure if I spoke to him, he'd be lovely, right? But you need to be able to truthfully answer what are the internal qualities, the internal values this person has that I have noticed. And I haven't just seen them once, I've seen a pattern of this kind of behavior and virtue in this guy or in this girl that I can now honestly say I am drawn to. Now you might say, Simon, that's a pretty dumb question. Why should I have to say, what do I like about this person? Isn't that obvious? If I'm drawn to them, I'm drawn to them. Well, I got a phone call from a girl one day and she goes, Simon, I'm struggling with my boyfriend. He doesn't seem to ever say anything nice about me. I said, okay, that's a bit strange. She goes, so can we meet up? I want to bring him to your office and I want you to have a talk with him. I was like, here we go. So this couple come to the office. He walks in, he's not happy, right? She's excited. She's like, okay, he's gonna say something good. This guy wasn't happy. He sits down, he's looking at the floor, not interested. I said, okay. I said, so tell me, I said, what's going on? She goes, well, he doesn't say anything nice about me. He doesn't know, I get my eyebrows done, never notices. Get my hair done, never notices. Nails, nothing. Doesn't tell me he loves me. He doesn't tell me that I look nice. Doesn't say any of those things. She goes, and he doesn't say anything nice about who I am. It's always me giving the compliments. Always me telling him he looks nice and he smells good. I was like, shouldn't this be a little bit both ways? Like, why is that so hard? I was like, I thought that's a fair point, right? So I look at him, and I said, mate, I just shared. I said, look, it's important. You should build the other up in love. If there's something, I said, it's good to notice those things. It means a lot to them. I said, but just give me something about your girlfriend that you're really drawn to or that you really like. I'm not kidding. He just hits me with this like dead silence, and he's panicking. Like, and she looks at him and she was like, you better say something right now, right? And I was like, just to cut how awkward it was, I was like, what about her smile or her eyes? I was like anything. I was like, pick any feature you may want to comment on. This guy he was absolutely like stuck for what to say, right? It didn't end very, very well. That conversation, that meeting didn't end very well, okay, for me or him or her. Everyone was either quite puzzled or angry or hurt. But I was like, goodness me. I was like, you know what? Maybe it actually is a really good idea to know why you're drawn to the person you are. Or why do I claim to love this person? What is it about them I'm drawn to? Because remember, right, it's not just the fact that she's a girl or he's a man and I'm just drawn to the other sex. Well, then that would mean you should be able to date any person of the other sex and it's all the same. What is it unique about you that I'm drawn to? Or what is it about you that I'm drawn to? Why was I drawn to you and not just anybody else? It's really important that we can actually say that. Now, what does that automatically ask of you? You cannot rush the friendship stage, can you? Even if they're, you can feel, I'm drawn to this person that's really strong, all the more reason to be intentional about slowing the friendship down so that you are giving yourself ample time to observe what this person is like. I don't mean observe in like a creepy stalking way. I mean you need time to be with a person in the same setting, in friend settings, in church settings, in any whatever event, at university, at work. You need time to discern what you are observing about them. How do they act? How do they treat people of the opposite sex? Do they flirt and do all this stuff? Do you even know if they've got bad habits like drugs, alcohol, porn, gambling, things like that? Could you tell me anything about those kind of things? If you don't know the answers to any of those questions, it's like jumping into a pond off a bridge when you have no idea what's underneath the surface. There could be a massive sharp log popping up and you've got no idea. And people do that every day of the week. They meet someone, I don't know what this person's like, but he's good looking, she's pretty, there was a bit of a spark that night, and they just jump in. And by jump in, I just mean they launch into an intense social media conversation or intense phone calls. They start oversharing, and before they know it, they've bonded with someone and they have no idea yet whether that is the kind of person they would really want to be bonded to. Does that make sense? When you see this person and when you're trying to get to know this person as a friend, get to know them in what I call the 3 F's. Faith, family, and friends. They are the 3 major areas that you want to be putting time and effort, intentional effort, into trying to get to know this person that you want to get to know. There is a girl that you have seen and you're becoming better friends, okay? You need to initiate places to see that girl in the context of faith, family, and friends in order to get to know what she's really like. Okay? So, faith, family, and friends, and always in the setting or the context of group. Now, by group, I don't mean every time you go out to see them, you've got to have 3 of your best mates with you. That's not what I'm saying. But the context of that place you're going to needs to be there are other people there that I know, and we're going to fit into this particular event or outing. I'm not catching up with this girl or this guy one-on-one completely, just me and her in this exclusive catch-up, right? Faith is the easiest one, okay? I encourage single people, you need to be involved in different events, groups, organizations, youth things, so that if you were to meet somebody and you want to create spaces where you can see them more, you need to be plugged into something that you can actually invite them to. Amen? I get, it drives me mental that single people, especially if they're in their late 20s or 30s, they'll say, you know, the way that you talk about dating and trying to get to know them in the context of friends and family and faith, they're always like, that works if you're young. But I'm 28, I'm 32, I'm not involved in those things. So what about me? I say, sorry, the answer is no different. If you don't have anything that you attend or that you're involved in, you have nothing you can invite a person to give them a great setting for you to be able to see who they truly are, then get involved in something so you can invite someone to that. Amen? You're the one that needs to create that space. Family, the only reason I say I'm not saying, hey, you know, I know I met you the other night, you want to come and meet mum and dad and have dinner at my place? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is this: it is very helpful if you have siblings, cousins that you're close to, for example. It is really helpful to have them meeting the person that you're trying to get to know. Why? Because family and friends, okay, sometimes even more so, our friends can call you out on being dishonest or lying. What's really important about involving family and friends is that they will call you out if you're being fake. Okay? So if you're, for example, there was this one girl who she rang me and she goes, look, I've just met this guy. It wasn't very long ago, actually. She goes, I've just met this guy, and she was like, I can't believe it. Like, we just see eye to eye on everything. Like, everything that he loves, I love. It's a perfect match. She was like, all the music I love, he likes. We know all the same people, and she was just kind of rattling off. You know, we both love the Bulldogs. Like, that's going to be amazing. We can go to all the games together and wear the same jersey. But then she just said something that I was like, I know that's not true. She goes, and she was like, he's so into cars and he loves bikes and all that kind of stuff, you know, and he works on cars all the time. And I was like, how awesome. Like, I am so into motorbikes and I'm so into cars. And I was like, you're not into motorbikes and cars? And she goes, what? I said, you are not into cars at all. I was like, I've known you for years and years and years. You have never mentioned anything about a car, anything about a bike. I was like, tell me the truth. I was like, that is not true, is it? She was like, yeah. Anyway, she got really uncomfortable. Anyway, very recently, right? Very, very recently, I got a call. It didn't work out. I realised we weren't as similar as I thought. All this stuff, and I just called her out on it again on the phone. I said that was a bit of a warning sign for me, kind of straight away, right? When you start lying about having interests that you don't really have, I said that's always not. That's never a good start, right? So, for example, if this girl was going out with this guy or hanging out with this guy and she was with her siblings or friends, right, they would have been able to call her out on that straight away and be like, there's something wrong, you're not presenting a true version of yourself to this person. So by having that, it's super helpful feedback constantly. And also, if you've got siblings there, cousins there, friends there that love you a lot, they're going to be very eager to give you honest feedback about this person. The first time that Madeline did come over to my place and meet my mum and dad and my siblings, I remember I was there on the night, and she's talking to my siblings, and my mum gets up and she goes over to my kitchen and she starts washing up. And I'm thinking, better do the right thing. I'm gonna start cleaning up, show her that I'm good in the kitchen as well. So I get out, I start getting the thing. I go over and I take her plates over to mum, and I'm there standing next to mum, and I'm just like pretending to do something. I had no idea what was going on. And mum's there washing up, and I said, mum, I was like, what do you think? What do you think? And she just looked at me and she goes, if you don't marry her, you're an absolute idiot. She was like, she's just beautiful. She's amazing. She was like, she's really impressive. And I was like, great. So even though, mum could have been wrong, okay, but what does that do? When somebody like your mum, all right, and not many people love you as much as your mum, probably no one loves you as much as mum. When mum says, I like this person, and when your siblings are like, they're a really good person, they bring the best out in you, or your friends are saying they're really, you're a lot happier, you're doing better, that's helpful for you to discern. Because what tends to happen is when someone is going out, is starting to spend time with someone that's not healthy for them, they change in unhealthy ways. Whereas really, the person that is really good for you, you should be growing in virtue. You should become more of yourself. You should become more enjoyable for people to hang out with because you're really happy and joyful, and there's this freedom in that. There's always a freedom in real love. Okay? What it also does is by inviting people out to these kind of settings, you're testing if there is mutual interest. I had one guy once say to me, he goes, mate, I've been asking this girl to come and meet me at a parish talk for 9 months. I said, 9 months? That's a very long time, mate. 9 months is a long time. I said, what is she saying to you every time you're inviting her to this talk? He goes, she always says she's busy with work, she's busy with uni, or she forgot that she must have double booked something with a friend. I was like, so you're telling me for 9 months, the girl that you're hoping is crazy about you is too busy? He goes, yeah. I said, brother, I said, there is no nice way to say this. I said, but she is not interested in you at all. I said, we all know, okay, I don't care how busy uni is. I don't care how busy work is. I don't care how busy your other social life might be. When the person that you want to spend time with asks you out to an event, what seems to happen to that calendar? You start having time, just starts popping up everywhere, doesn't it? You're like, mate, I have never been so free in my life. I'm available anytime you like, okay? Because you're eager to spend that time with them. You want to spend time with them. So if you're doing, and that's often a really healthy, safe way just to gauge very calmly, in a non-freaky way, right, whether someone might be drawn to you also. So by making the effort to say, hey, listen, I'm going to this particular course at a parish, I'm going to this event, would you like to come? If that person wants to get to know you better, wants to spend time with you, they are going to make a very good effort to get to as much as what you invite them to as they possibly can. If they're not interested, they are going to throw excuses at you like work's too busy, I've got uni exams or whatever. They're going to come up with a whole host of reasons why they can't catch up with you. And if you, for example, right, if a guy said, hey, Colin, I'm going to this event, if you truthfully were booked that night, okay, your response isn't just going to be, sorry, can't make it, right? You're going to be like, oh, I really can't make that night, but I am free the next night or the following night, or when else can we, when else can I see you? You're going to see an effort on their end to want to make this outing happen. Amen? But beware of the people that try to get too exclusive too soon. So people that, when you invite them to a church event, they're not interested in that. They want to catch up with you one-on-one at their place. Or they want you to come over to their house. They want you to invite them to their house. Or they want you to go and meet at a park at night. They are all major red flags for me. Okay, and they should be for you as well. Somebody that really wants to get to know you well as a person and is not interested in the sex they might get from you when they see you, they are going to be perfectly happy to see you in that group setting. They're going to encourage that group setting to happen. If they want you just to wear you down and get something sexual from you, they are going to work overtime to create that date, that time together is going to be as exclusive, private, and out of the light as possible. Amen? Lastly, promise. Don't over-spiritualize the friendship straight away. Don't be like, oh my gosh, she's got the miraculous medal. I wear a miraculous medal. That's a sign. I wear the brown scapular. So does she. Done. Right? I'm praying a 54-day rosary novena at the moment, and I meet her on the 54th day. Right? Like, I mean, it's like all those things that, okay, that's great. They've got their place. I'm not mocking, like praying for a future spouse or anything like that. As you know, I'm very much, I encourage that. But sometimes people can just over-spiritualize it and be like everything becomes a sign from God that they're the one. And because something little like I met her on the 54th day of my novena, we think we don't have to discern them just as well as anybody else would have to discern their spouse. Does that make sense, right? All those things are great. Take them, thank God for them, and say, okay, Lord, that's beautiful. I met this girl on the 54th day, but I still have to do the work. I still have to get to know her, do all the right things, spend the time with her, ask the right questions, fight to stay pure, all those things. It doesn't mean God does not work that way, right? We still got to discern. Amen?